Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another show on the Sports Music and Live podcast. Today we're doing our first film one. We're going to be sticking on YouTube, but as usual we'll be just filming one take and going from there.
Freestyling.
We are on Spotify still, although we've changed a few things. But the links will be on the Instagram and all that, where I will be posting. So for those who don't know, this is
Paul. Hello.
So this side of it's the music side that we're going to be doing. May talk a bit about football, although it's very painful for us at the moment because I'm Chelsea
And I'm Man United.
So we might leave that there for a minute now. So the first one on YouTube today that we are going to cover is something that's very close to both our hearts in the music world, and that is guitarists and guitaring. So this guy sitting next to me was originally my guitar teacher.
Indeed.
And he's very good at it. He's one of them guitar players that can pick up the guitar and I'll say, "Oh, Paul, do you know this song?" And he within a couple of minutes, and he'll be playing it. And that's how talented this guy is.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a ringing endorsement.
Yeah.
Some songs, some of them, it takes me a little bit longer to figure it out. It depends how complicated it is.
I can't remember which one it was that time, but there was one that nearly got you, didn't it?
Yeah. There's always one. Someone always throws me a curveball every now and then it becomes, it becomes a challenge. So, yeah, it's fun.
Well, to be fair, you've taught me numerous songs, and I still can't play any of them. I'll go off and write my own stuff with it.
Exactly.
It's not copywriting because it ain't the same.
No, it's you're borrowing from people.
Yeah.
You're not stealing from them. You're not plagiarising. You're influenced by it, which is the same for anything.
Yeah. Well, listen to Noel Gallagher, who is an absolute legend.
Yeah, he is a legend. He's a good place to start with guitar players. Actually,
You want to go in Noel? We're going with Noel. I wasn't really going to talk about.
Yeah, I love Noel. I think he's a great guitar player.
I think he's a very talented guy.
He is.
I mean, I'm an Oasis fan. I love it.
Yeah.
So.
He's one of these guys. He's really underrated by people in the guitar community. So he's not super technical, but I think he always plays the right thing for the song. I think his guitar parts are very memorable. So he's got a really good guitar sound as well. And when you see how he used to get that guitar sound when they first started, and he had gear that wasn't that expensive, but it still sounds really good, hats off to him.
Yeah, Joe. There's a story with Johnny Marr before Noel was famous, wasn't it? I think he gave him a guitar or some strings. I'm pretty sure it's a guitar. So I wasn't really going to cover this today. So you're
throwing it right off.
This is what exactly. I say. We're coming in raw.
Yeah.
But so I believe it was a guitar. Next time we do Guitar Heroes 2, won't take that out. Might get done for copyright. So Johnny, I believe Johnny Marr gave him a guitar, and there's a famous Oasis song wrote on it, plus the lyrics.
Right.
And it comes from Johnny Marr, but I will look into that and we will cover that on the next show.
Yes, indeed.
So you've really thrown me going in with Noel, actually.
Oh, sorry.
But now you've brought another guitar player who I haven't wrote down today, and Johnny Marr.
Johnny Marr, amazing guitar.
guitar
He
player.
is fantastic. He is he's totally unique in the way that he plays. And he never plays the obvious part, if that makes sense. He's not strumming open chords. Well, he does sometimes, but not, it's not a normal thing for him.
Yeah.
So he plays parts that are right across the beat and everything. And it's just, he's really, really good to listen to. And another one who, if it's not for him, the Smiths wouldn't be the Smiths. He's an integral part of their sound.
Yeah. Well, I've had the joy of seeing Johnny Marr live.
Oh, nice.
And Mark, you'll be listening to this show eventually, or maybe watching it. You've been there, and Robbie. James shouts. James, you was at the gig when we watched him. Mitch, you disappeared, and you did before he come on. But that's another story for another day. So when he was supporting Noah at Crystal Palace Bowl. And what I found so amazing is he was playing the guitar. I think it was my big mouth. I had a few beers that day, so... and he tuned it down, done his solo bit, and then tuned it back in and went back into, which I believe was My Big Mouth, and that just mesmerised me. I love guitar. So Johnny Marr is up there with the guitar players. Well, I was going to start with this one.
Right, go ahead. We'll get back on course now.
And I think it's the obvious for anyone who loves guitar and appreciates guitaring, and that is Slash.
Right, so love Slash.
Yeah.
Again, amazing guitar sound. Apparently, well, I don't think it is apparently, but I think, again, a guy who starts with, I think it's a fake Les Paul, basically. Right. His first guitar is a replica Les Paul that someone built for him. It's not a genuine Gibson, and it sounds incredible. Anyway, you say about me, if you say, give me a song and I can kind of play it within 2 minutes. Slash is a different beast. His solos are so hard to work out and just to be able to get down, and he often has a part or a passage in there which is so weird with the fingers that he uses and the finger choice and that sort of thing. So yeah, he's always, if anyone ever requests him and I don't know the song, it's always like, oh no, it's always a bit of a nightmare just because of how good he is. So yeah, and he just, again, his solos are really lyrical, but he's also got a hell of a technique as well.
He's an absolute genius. What's that story about Sweet Child of Mine? Because they nearly didn't record it, because then they go to the
18 takes or something like that.
The pub and completely forgot it.
Yeah.
But
again, actually, that intro riff is so difficult that it took him 18 takes to record it. So he wrote something that he couldn't play at the time. Obviously, he can play it now, but it's very impressive.
So going back to Mark, I know Mark's a massive fan of Slash. He even had, I believe, a replica of one of these guitars.
Oh, nice.
And Mark and Mitch, they're good guitar players, amateur guitar players in their own right, to be fair. Mark don't play it so much now. Mitch picks it up every now and then. But again, I'd put them in good guitar people that I know, that they could pick up a tune and play it. Whereas that's what I've always struggled with the guitar, is playing other people's stuff.
Yeah.
But then I'll make something up on my own. I'll be like, oh look, and I'll show someone, I'll be like, oh, that sounds like so-and-so. I'm like, not to me, it don't. It sounds like a racket.
Your influences are coming out, for sure. Nice.
So an interesting fact about Slash that some people may not know, which really surprised me, is that he was actually born in London.
I did hear that, actually.
So he was born in London. His mum and dad were involved with TV or music at some point. Yeah. And he moved to LA at the age of 6.
Right.
So I remember hearing that in a documentary, and I believe, so there's a story behind it with David Bowie. I should have looked this up really, because I forgot all about it. It just comes to my head now. I remember watching it when I watched the programme on Slash, and so there was under a label something to do with David Bowie. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm sure if in the YouTube comments or what someone will probably say something. If you do know, please do.
Please correct us.
Or point us in the right direction. So there were Guns N' Roses was on a David Bowie record label, I believe, or somewhat, and they didn't take much notice of him until they started picking up. And Bowie's like, well, why didn't I know about him? Because I believe Bowie had something to do with his mum and dad too. Right. So have you got any more thoughts on Slash?
Well, all right. So, favourite solo from Slash, right? This might be a bit controversial, but it's not actually a Guns N' Roses one, or a Velvet Revolver one, or a, who else has he been in? Oh God, he's been in a lot of bands, isn't he? But anyway, it's not any of his actual projects. So it's the guitar solo to "Give In To Me" by Michael Jackson, and it is unbelievable. In fact, both solos are awesome. The first one's kind of like, it's about 20-30 seconds, I think. It's a few bars. It's spot on. It's so good. And then the second solo, he rips it. It's so good. And yeah, it's off of the Dangerous album from, I think, 1994 or something like that. And it's quite difficult to play as well. And yeah, he just absolutely burns on it. He's incredible.
So is that the famous clip when, I think it was at the MTV Awards, where my Slash was playing for Michael Jackson, he was just ripping his guitar, and
It,
Michael
it
was trying to get him off
might
the
be.
stage.
It might be. Yeah, I think so. It's either that. It's either that one or Black or White, because I think he played on Black or White as well, which is on the same album. But yeah, Give In to Me off of the Dangerous album. If you don't know it, check it out. It's incredible.
So, I was always under the believing another great guitar player that I think people underrate is Richie Sambora.
Yeah, he's a great player and also a great songwriter as well, and a good singer. He's a good singer.
Yeah. So, but I thought we'd cover that another time. Song duet writers, because
that's a good topic actually. Yeah, so famous songwriting duos. Yeah, love it.
On the next podcast, we are going to do famous songwriters and duet songwriters. So anyway, back to Richie. So I was always under the believing that he wrote the guitar for Beat It.
No,
you know exactly. Go on, I'll let you say it was.
Right, so the solo on Beat It is obviously Eddie Van Halen, and he did it in 2 takes.
Wow.
And he didn't want paying for it as well.
Wow.
They said, well, why didn't you want payment? And he said, well, I just did it. And I think I'm paraphrasing here, but he said maybe Michael Jackson will give me dance lessons one day. In thanks. Yeah, he did say that. But the
it's too old to be having dance lessons for Michael Jackson.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. He's by that time. I mean, he's no longer with us anymore, poor Eddie. But he was when he said that quote. Yeah, I think he was probably not going to be able to do that. But the riff, actually, to Beat It, is written by a guy called Steve Lukather, and the main guitar part, so Eddie Van Halen only plays the solo on it, is Steve Lukather from Toto, if you know any Toto. Great track. That's Steve Lukather, and in fact, basically, the band who play Beat It is just Toto, because they were session musicians back in the 70s and the 80s, and it's Lukather playing the riff and wrote it, and Eddie literally just drops in for the solo, does it in 2 takes and gets out. So it's the Toto guys that kind of put the track together.
Say no more. He nailed it.
He did.
Well, he's on the list today, but let's get back to Rich. I think Rich is love him, love Bon Jovi, and I love him as a guitar player, and like you said, a very underrated singer too.
Yeah.
These 5 words to me, if anyone gets a chance, there's one on YouTube where Bon Jovi goes and hands it over to him, he goes off and he does it for 9 minutes. I sent it over to you, I believe, once when I was drunk.
It's awesome. I have to dig that one out, actually. Yeah, I haven't watched that for a little while.
So, this next guitarist I'm going to mention is, in my eyes, the most underrated guitar player. There's a bit of a theme to my guitar player picks at the moment. A bit glam rock, metal, heavy, what do you want to call it. This band's called Motley Crue, and this guitarist is an absolute genius on the guitar, and that is Mick Mars.
Yeah.
Is it Mick Mars?
Mick Mars, I think, as in the planet, or the chocolate bar.
I'll be honest with you, I never thought anything of Motley Crue, didn't know anything about them until their film come out. The Dirt, great film, go and watch it. Ozzy Osbourne, the scene about him is hilarious.
It is hilarious, yeah.
And dirty. And then I thought, God, you know what, actually, they're quite a really good band, actually.
They
I
are
like
really
a bit
good.
of Motley Crue, got into them, and then you just can't help but admire the guitaring from Mick Mars.
Yeah. He is very underrated, as you say, and we had this conversation off camera a couple of weeks ago, and I think it might be because the other 3 band members have such big personalities. So you've got Tommy Lee on the drums, you've got Nicky Six on the bass, and the singer is Vince Neil. I was going to say the wrong name there.
Good job, I got it.
I did good job you caught that, because I was going to say an actor's name. But anyway.
They did. He did leave at one point.
Right.
Didn't he?
Right.
And they had another one. I think they might have done one album. Didn't work.
Oh, what, Poison? Motley Crue, sorry. No, not Motley. Yeah, Motley Crue. Did they had somebody replaced?
So Vince Neil ended up leaving. He went for a
it was Vince Neil, right? Yeah.
Vince Neil's daughter died. I think he went off the rails, which
does happen.
They were both well, not both, there all was at some point.
Yeah.
And he ended up coming back anyway, because Nicky Six in the film gets them back together. Do you want to say anything before I go on?
Well, again, yeah, he doesn't really get enough credit for me, but he is a great player. He wrote a lot of those riffs, and they had a lot of big hits, Motley Crue. Yeah. I always get them mixed up with Poison, annoyingly, but because I just said Poison. But yeah, and Mick Mars, really lyrical guitar solos as well, very memorable. And you know, just
What's your favourite Motley Crue tune?
Girls, actually, because the riff is so good. It's in drop D, and it's really quite heavy, but it's still very musical at the same time.
Mine's Same Old Situation.
Okay.
Great tune, love it.
Good shout.
But my mate Robbie, who I speak about a lot in this, because you know, we could talk all day long, like me and you, about music, being Robbie. I think it is, what's the name on it? I just had it in my head, it's gone now. I'll have to get back to you on that one, because it's gone out of my head. Robbie will know exactly which one it is when he listens to it.
Comment.
Because they have a drop in it, and then it goes back up again. It's a genius, and it's all from his guitar.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a guitar that I have mentioned to you before. I don't know if you know him, and his name's Chris Buck. Now,
Chris Buck.
He's from Wales.
Yeah.
Now, anyone gets a chance, he's in a band called Cardinal Black.
Right.
They've done one great tune. I come across him, but you know, it was an article I read, and he got a guitar, a basically up and coming guitar. I'm not sure what magazine. And I thought, oh right, so I went and watched him on that videos as you do. He's bang on. I mean, even Slash, he said he's.
Oh wow! An endorsement from Slash. That's
I think
killer.
That's what caught my eye of him.
Wow!
Right? So Chris Buck, and he's a genius. Go and have a look. If you're really massive guitar fans and you don't know him, and he's under the radar, if you do know him, let us know in the comments how good he really is, because he's good, really good.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check him out. Definitely.
And and he's a guitar player. A bit like my mate Magic. Do you remember I was showing you?
Yeah.
Magic,
He's got lots of facets to his technique.
And he can pick it, and then he has his little pick there. And you rarely see him play with pick. Actually, they're talking of guitar player. Another one's come to my head, and that's Mark. Is it Knopfler?
Oh, Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits.
He's another genius guitar player.
Great player.
Again, that was just coming to the head.
He has a very because he only plays with his fingers.
Yeah, and that's a bit like Chris Buck.
Yes, he actually, because he has quite an unusual technique where it's a lot of it's with the thumb and the first.
Yeah.
And they said, "How did you develop that?" And he said, "Well, I wish I could play like a kind of like a normal guitar player, but it's basically from being self-taught." But that's the thing with sometimes, I mean, I know I'm a guitar teacher, but sometimes you get people who develop their own technique, and it's so unique that it becomes, you know, I mean, I'm kind of... Oh, it's paused. Wi-Fi's dropped out.
Oh.
That's annoying.
Is it back? Yep, we're back. Sorry, bit of a technical issue there.
Just a connection thing. Anyway, so yeah, I know I'm supposed to be advocating for everyone to go and get lessons, but sometimes you do get...
guy to see if you live in Colchester, Paul.
Yeah, sometimes you do get someone who comes through, a lot of the time you get someone who comes through with a very unique style because they are self-taught. So yeah, he is, I mean, and he can still play better than most people can who have been, you know, taught, had lessons and all that sort of thing. So yeah, very, very big fan of Knopfler.
Yeah, wrote some great tunes.
Great sound as well.
Is there any you want to mention? Or I've got a list.
So many. So if I go back, right.
This is you, isn't it?
Yeah. So you've got to go back. Sometimes you've got to go right back, and you've got to look at where a lot of it begins. So you've got to mention people like Robert Johnson, who is a blues pioneer, one of the first like great blues guitar players. Then you go on to people like B.B. King. Who's another great blues guitar player, and actually toured until he was well into his 80s. I think he toured until he was, pretty much until he died. So, which is crazy. And then You get into the 60s, or even actually before that, you got Hank Marvin from the Shadows.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant guitar player.
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly, yeah. And then you get into the 60s, you've got obviously Hendrix, who is massive innovator. You can't do a guitar show without mentioning Hendrix.
You can't not mention Jimi Hendrix. I think, I mean, I'm not going to go out and say I'm not massive fans of his new genre, but you've got to admire a genius when you admire a genius.
And then
I
innovator
do like
as
Jimi
well,
Hendrix,
yeah.
But, I wouldn't say, I listen to him a lot, but he's a great guitar player.
Yeah, you've got obviously Clapton.
Eric Clapton, I was going to mention him.
Clapton's amazing. Still amazing as well.
Yeah.
I've got a friend going to see him in Japan. In fact,
Wow.
in fact, time of this recording, he went and saw him yesterday. So I'll catch up with him on Tuesday and see how that went.
If he got to see Layla on acoustic, that is.
I think he's seen him before, and he saw Layla. I think he might have seen him last time, but he said he checked the set and he's not doing Layla.
I'd be gutted.
Which is like, I don't know why he's not doing it. It might be because it's a very difficult song to sing, actually. So, or he's just fed up with playing it.
Yeah.
It's his biggest hit, and he might just want to do something else. So Clapton, Jeff Beck, Pete Townsend.
Another great lyric songwriter.
Yeah.
Pete Townsend.
Touched on Eddie Van Halen, another massive innovator. In fact, actually, my two biggest innovators on guitar, I'm going to say Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
I think they influenced pretty much the whole spectrum of particularly rock guitar as well. So yeah, those guys can't go wrong. There's obviously, like we touched on, like Sam Bora and that from the 80s.
Yeah.
We've got Noel from the 90s. I'm going to say John Mayer for the kind of the 2000s. John Mayer's an amazing guitar player, amazing songwriter. Check him out. John Mayer, Mayer.
Right. Yeah.
Singer-songwriter.
Right.
Big. I mean, he's pretty much, he's almost as famous for the amount of women he's dated as well.
Right.
Famous women.
I'll tell you, you nearly mentioned U2 there.
The Edge. What a great guitar player, and also like just very creative use of effects. And again, another great songwriter.
Right, yeah.
And modern day.
I've got one
on.
from modern day actually, and it's the band I spoke about on other podcasts and very highly of, and that's from the Lavins. Now, I think he's going to be a little bit more recognition he gets, and I've had the joy to see him live, and he's
nice.
good. And his name is Scott. No, I'm not sure how you pronounce that.
Scott
Concepcion?
Concepcion. Yeah.
So
I don't think it's conception, but it sounds
wrong.
Yeah.
We're sorry, but he, for me, is someone that's very up and coming, that's good, and deserves some credit for some of the stuff he's really wrote.
Someone I've got to check out, actually.
Now, Keith Richard is a very good guitar player because of how he plays
love
it.
him.
But let's not go about mentioning his anchor. Is it called Anchorman today?
Yeah.
Or Axeman or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I think.
I should have realised that one. Good job we don't. And that is obviously Ronnie Woods.
Yeah.
What a great guitar player.
Yeah, give up to him. They've had some great guitar players in the Stones, actually, because you've got Mick Taylor as well, who is the guy before Ronnie Wood, and then Brian Jones as well, I think. He is. We should have a look at other ones.
You're going to be doing ones in the band.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I like a band called Thin Lizzy.
Oh yeah, love Thin Lizzy.
And they got an excellent guitar player, and that is Gary Moore.
Yeah, so Gary Moore. So Thin Lizzy, one of my earliest influences, because my dad is a huge fan, and I was listening to all of their albums while I was in my early stages of learning to play guitar. So Gary Moore, one of my favourite guitar players. So I got into playing guitar because of pretty much Santana, Gary Moore, and my dad. So I still am a huge Gary Moore fan, and I have been lucky enough. I did see him when I was about 12 or 13.
Wow. Well, Gary Moore.
Yeah,
Wow.
at the Ipswich Regent, and he was really, really good. He had a great night. So very, very accurate, talented guitar player.
I believe he's passed away now, isn't he?
He did, yeah, quite a few years ago actually.
Yeah.
A number of years ago. But yeah, so he is one of my biggest influences. Great technique, and also I just always loved and was influenced by how he covered so many different styles. So he did rock, he did metal, he did blues, he did jazz, he's got an album for pretty much every style.
Yeah.
But Thin Lizzy as well, every guitar player they've had I just really enjoyed. So you've got Scott Gorham. So the first guitar player there was a guy called Eric Bell, who's a really nice lyrical guitar player.
Yeah.
You've obviously got Gary Moore after him. You've got Scott Gorham, Brian Robertson, who's incredible, Scottish guy, really, really great player. They had Gary Moore again, and then you've got Snowy White after them, who actually went on to have a half-decent solo career. Right. And then you've got another guy called John Sykes, who was the last guitar player they had with Scott Gorham.
Right.
And John Sykes went to join Whitesnake and wrote...
he should pass away. I was just reading
that. Poor John Sykes. But he was easily as good as Gary Moore, in my opinion. He's just unbelievable, blistering technique, fantastic guitar player.
Now you say it, I do remember reading it was in Finland. Now, it just brought come to my head. Now, I had the joy to go and see Elton John do his last tour live, which was very good. But what blew me away is the band he had with him. And this guy can play the guitar, and his name is Davy Johnson.
Davy Johnson, nice.
Right? He never picked up the guitar. I can't remember what Elton said, but I believe it's on the terms of he was a bass player.
Oh right.
And then he picked up the guitar, and go and watching Elton John say to Glastonbury what he just done, because he definitely was there. And admire that guy on the guitar. And when you see it live, he is amazing, epic,
Nice.
mate. He is amazing, and that blew me away how good the whole band was as a band. But he really stood out to me. He did, and that just comes to me ahead. So I had to Google it quickly. So we covered. What about Brian May? Got to mention
Brian May. Actually, it was so obviously whenever you see the top 100 guitar players of all time, blah blah blah, you see it in guitar magazines, and every single time they do a poll nearly every 2 years.
Yeah.
Refresh the list. Hendrix always comes out on top. Recently, Brian May came out on top of the greatest guitar player ever. And you can kind of see it. You know, he's very influential. And obviously, just from a commercial point of view, he has been the most successful. But Queen are incredible. Yeah. So, and also, another one, unbelievable guitar tone, all done on a homemade guitar as well.
Yes.
Which is incredible. Exactly. And also, Brian May is very clever player. He's unbelievably intelligent.
He can work with things that go to space.
He's like an astrophysicist or something like that.
We're not going to go down that road.
It's above my pay grade, but he is a very clever guy. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and what was I going to say then? Yeah, going back to Jimi Hendrix, you can see why he comes out on top, because he showed something else on what you can do on that guitar. He's the first written, all that. Yeah, he's the first one to do that, really, wasn't he?
He's very innovative. He's one of the most.
How much you can move around and slip, slide, and riff and whatnot, the genius stuff that he does on that guitar. He was, for me, that I can think of, is the first person to do that with a guitar. And
also the sound of it as well. To be fair, it's him, it's Clapton, Townsend in the 60s who kind of pretty much innovate rock guitar, because they're the guys who turn those Marshall amps up and start getting that distorted sound, which we all know and love. But no one had really done it until then, because it wasn't considered not a pleasant sound. It wasn't considered like a correct sound to be able to push the amp that hard so that it starts to distort. So
they were all hippies sort of back then, weren't they?
Exactly. They were all experimenting, that's what they're doing. They're doing, they're all tripped out experimenting things, and then they think, that sounds great, and actually it does. So
why not?
Create a new sound.
And the genius was great. See, I don't really see, going back to that glam rock, that was probably pretty heavy. Well, not when you look at that, but I never really see that as heavy metal. I mean, I see Slipknot and all that, and don't get me wrong, the guitar playing that's genius, but it ain't for me. Go on, what you got to say?
Some people, well, I mean, some people wouldn't see Slipknot as heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it just,
it's
it's perception. There's, there are heavier bands than them out there, So yeah,
Oh,
it depends on what your definition of heavy music is, I guess. But he's a great player, that guy in that band.
Yeah, look, I've got a newfound respect for Corey Taylor. Because
Yeah.
I come across his song when he done it acoustic. I thought the guy can sing, but that streaming, you cut me out, mate. But I do appreciate the instrumental behind it.
Technical prowess, yeah, definitely.
Could be a bit too much for me at times, but there's some good stuff like
absolutely
that's really behind it. So I never knew this guy was a guitar player until I watched George Harrison getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and this is when you realise how, like when you watch the clip, you can realise how good he played. It's going to come up. And the reason he done it is because they didn't appreciate him or think he was that good a guitar player. And to me, that has got to be one of the best guitar solos I've ever seen in my life, and that was Prince.
Yeah, he's incredible. I love Prince.
Wow, he can play the guitar.
He's an amazing guitar, or he was an amazing guitar player.
Strange guy though.
Yeah,
very strange guy.
Actually, one of my biggest influences as an artist in general, just in terms of his output. Yeah. And just how prolific he was. Mm-hmm. So one thing I do admire him for is that I think there's an estimate that he's got somewhere between about 1,500 and 2,000, could even be 3,000 unreleased songs in his vault, in his house. And not just demos, perfectly mixed, mastered, ready to go. He's got enough material to last another couple of lifetimes worth of stuff that his family can put out as an estate.
There's a bit of an issue with all that at the moment, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't actually know much about that, but so the second thing that I really admire about him, so it's not just his output, but it's also just that he was pretty much, there's not many people who get to his level who did it all by themselves, if that makes sense. So he plays every instrument on the recordings, he sings, he writes the songs, he mixes it, he masters it, and it's pretty much just him and an engineer. Whereas most of the artists need like a writer or someone to kind of start and help them out with that process. Or they need someone to produce it, they need someone to mix it, they need to send it off to master. Prince did the whole lot himself. Absolutely incredible.
Wow. Right. Unfortunately, something's gone wrong with the computer at the moment, so we're going to have to finish recording that and stop there for now, but we will
we're going to do a part 2.
Yeah. Sorry, we would normally do it longer. We've had a bit of fun setting up the technical side of it, but this is our first YouTube video. Please enjoy it, and we will be bringing you plenty more about music. So thank you for listening once again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.